Good morning and welcome back to 501c TV. I'm your host, Janelle Harris. This is the podcast that talks to thought leaders, system change leaders, nonprofits, and nonprofit partners to find out what is new in their world and how they are pushing their missions forward today. And this morning, I'm very excited because I have with me in studio Elizabeth Accomando, who's the founder of Barky Pines Animal Rescue and Sanctuary right here in our backyard in Loxahatchee. This is very near and dear to me to have an animal sanctuary in here today. As I mentioned off camera, I have 4 dogs of my own, some other animals in my home, and we are an animal-loving house. So welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank
it's so
you.
great to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here, and I know probably in the immediate community here, everyone knows Barky Pines, but we want to make sure.
I think so.
Yeah, you guys have like an awesome reputation. I follow you online.
Thank you.
I love everything that you're doing, but I want everyone to understand why you do what you do, how it got started, and what we can do as a community going forward to help things along with Barky Pines. So I'm going to leave it to you to explain how this all got started.
So
big deep breath,
big
because
deep breath,
I'm sure
right? It's a lot.
It's a lot.
So my husband and I, well, really since our childhood, we've always, of course, loved animals.
Yes,
gotta love animals to do.
Absolutely.
And then my husband and I, we were in the auto body business. We weren't, a rescue forever. Our profession was auto body, and we had a big property and. It just seemed like all the dogs would find us.
Oh.
So all these stray dogs would show up, and we had like 10 dogs, and this one would come walking up, and this one's hurt, and this one's that. So we would take these dogs in, and some of them we'd find homes for, and a lot of them we ended up keeping.
Absolutely.
So we went through all that, and then in 2007 we kind of had a life shift. As we got a little bit older, we took care of my parents for a long time, and they passed, and we're like, you know what? Is this what we want to keep doing for the rest of our lives?
Right.
What could be more rewarding than helping animals?
Nothing.
Right? Nothing. So we said, let's do it. So we got everything set up, and we had everything for sale, and then the market crashed in 2008. And we're like, wow, okay, take a step back.
Sure.
Plans changed, things shifted. We continued on with the auto body, and in 2013, we shifted to like a mobile service. So we reduced that overhead. We were thinking, more long term. Plus, we're getting older.
Right.
We had been doing it for 30 years.
Right.
It's like, all right, we need to shift. So we started that, and we found all of our accounts were up in Palm Beach County. We were originally down in Broward.
Okay.
So we said, this is kind of crazy every day, commuting an hour. What are we doing? So we said, let's, look up here. And we found the acreage, and we're like, wow, this still exists. Like
so awesome.
Broward was like getting so crazy and traffic and everything, So we're like, oh, this is kind of quiet.
Yeah.
It's nice,
peaceful.
Peaceful. So we said, maybe we need to just move up, get closer. So that's what we did in the beginning of 2013. And we were about a month in to this new location and this quiet life, and there shows up this pit bull at our door one morning, and we're like,
it's like word is on the street.
Right,
everyone, the dogs tell each other.
The Accomandos, they're in Loxahatchee,
they're
so
right
get up
here.
there. Right. So he shows up, and I'm like, who do you belong to? No microchip. And then we didn't know really anybody yet. We had just gotten here. So the neighbor across the street, who was pretty friendly, she's like, oh, you got to call animal control, and they'll come and scan, and join this Loxahatchee Lost and Found Pets group, because they do this, they find the owners. So I did that, and, well, nobody was claiming this dog. And we had him in the garage waiting for animal control to come and scan.
Right.
And we get back, and he's gone. And I'm like, where is he?
He let himself out.
Right? Yeah, you know how to open the door.
Yeah.
He's a little shorty, so I don't think he can reach. So the neighbor tells me, oh, well, I told animal control to take him because my son-in-law wants him, and I don't want to have him in the house. And it's like, wait a minute.
Oh.
Who authorized you, right?
Right.
So I call animal control, and they're like, yeah, well, he's here, and, he's at risk, and this and that. So fortunately, we had a friend that was looking for a dog, and we said, hey, this dog is amazing.
Yeah.
Go meet him. And he ended up adopting him, which is fantastic.
I love that.
But now I'm hooked into this lost and found thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm looking, and I'm like, where are all these dogs? Why are all these dogs loose? And people come out there, and they think, oh, it's the country, and I'm just going to dump my dog out there. Or people are comfortable, and they, at the time, there wasn't a lot of traffic, and it's like, oh, my dog can roam, and he'll come back, and all that. So I got really heavily involved with trying to get these animals home. I was out scanning all hours of the day and night, and all these dogs that weren't claimed, that nobody could hold them, and they would all end up going to the county. And I was, like all the statistics, almost 5,000 dogs a year were being put down at animal control. And I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
There are all these rescues in Palm Beach County. Why are all these dogs being put to sleep when they're good dogs for space?
Right.
Right. Something's got to change.
Right.
So I said to my husband, I said, we wanted to open the rescue. We had planned, we actually, going back when we were going to start it in 2008, we had been in the middle of purchasing 10 acres of land, and we were going to start. I said, you know what? Let's just do it. We don't have a lot of land. We don't have any money, but these animals need our help.
Yes.
So he says, you know what? You want to do it? Let's do it. So we started the corporation.
What a good husband.
Right? He's amazing. Whatever you want,
yeah, exactly.
Just
He's
tell
very
me what
smart.
to do. Right, exactly.
Smart husband.
Happy wife, happy dog, happy life. Right?
Exactly.
So we started, and then we applied for our 501c3, and then my sister, who was up north, and she was retired from the post office, and she's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm tired of the cold. I said, come down here and help us. We're starting this animal rescue. You know, she's like, okay.
Sure.
So she packed her stuff, and she moved down.
Oh, my gosh, so great.
So we get our 501c3 the beginning of the following year, and we hit the ground running, and we started pulling and pulling and pulling. And we were all living together in this 1,800 square foot house with this, we were on an acre and a half. We had a bit of a fence yard, like an acre fenced in. So we had all these dogs, and that year we actually rescued the most pit bulls out of Palm Beach County Animal Control out of all the rescues. And I'm like, this is crazy, because there's some big rescues, right? So then we all right, well, we got 30 dogs in the house. What are we going to do this, right? And Animal Control's like, yeah, you're good, or just keep helping.
I mean, 30,
so,
what's like a few more?
Right, exactly.
Oh, my goodness.
So I was like, we need some more space.
Right.
So we started looking around for property, which is really tough, especially when you're not, flush, right?
Yeah.
And you can't get a loan to buy land. And we found this one property, and we were trying to make the deal with the guy, but his terms were crazy. And then we found another property actually in Indian Town.
Okay.
And we're like, I really don't want to move away, but it's only 40 minutes. We can do the, back and forth.
Sure.
Because our mission is specific to help Palm Beach County Animal Control.
Correct.
Like, we don't pull dogs from other places. They come from there, all the at-risk dogs.
Yep.
So we're like, we can still manage it. And then that deal went south because, again, the terms. So we're like, we're just starting out.
Yeah.
We got to buy this property. You want it paid off in a year, and I got to build.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Right. It's not feasible.
Right. So we're like, oh, what are we going to do? So we're just continuing on, and we're still rescuing, and we got a house full of dogs. And I get a phone call, and they said, oh, this property is, for sale, and the guy's willing to give pretty good terms. And we said, well, we'll come and look at it. And we pull up, and it's this crazy road that's like not maintained. It's sugar sand. It's bumpy. You feel like you're on a roller coaster. And it was pouring rain. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know about
I'm going to
this.
need a truck.
Yeah.
Right. And then, but the terms were like too good to be true. So then we get there, and this tall grass, and God only knows what is in that tall grass. But it was 5.5 acres. So I was like, we could make this work.
Okay.
So we signed on the dotted line, and that was it.
And that's where it stands today.
That's where it started. And
wow.
Yeah, we started clearing, and we didn't have any buildings on it, obviously.
Right.
It was just vacant land. And somebody we've known for like 20 years, she's like, oh my God, you're going to do cats too? I was like, yeah. She goes, so let me help you, and I'll get you a building. So she bought us this like used giant shed, which was great. And we tiled, and we put AC and did the whole thing. And we started with that. And then we moved out there about 8 months later. The land, we finally had everything, where we could be out there, and we didn't have a house yet. So we had gotten 2 RVs, and we were staying in the RVs. And then the county changed the rules and said, no, you can't stay in an RV while you're ready to build. So
oh my
what are you
goodness.
Gonna do? So fortunately, we worked all that out. Right
every curveball, like holy
every
moly.
Curveball. And then year 1, we started all this. We were flooding, and we couldn't understand why, and we didn't know what was going on. And I mean, in 2018 we had like 5 feet of water.
Oh
I'm
my
like, oh my
gosh.
God, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know? And they're like, oh, you need to put a house up. I'm like, well, if I'm like gonna keep flooding, like I'm not
Yeah,
building anything.
I really
I'm
don't.
out of here. You
I
know,
don't want to live here.
Right, exactly. I said, you can't get down the road. You know, they were supposed to be maintaining it. Nobody was.
Yeah.
It was like crazy. So, you know, but we're strong. We have a lot of fortitude, right?
Obviously,
so we
yeah.
said, you know what? No, we're going to stay. We're going to figure it out. And we're going to fight. And then we figured out why we were flooding, and we kind of got that resolved. An engineer came from a local builder, and he said, look, this is what you need to do. Ditch here, ditch there, pipe here, blah, 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 raise this. And we did all that. And thank God, you know, we've never flooded since.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Little by little, you know, we got another building, and then we were able to put the house up. We had a car, you know, classic car, because we were in the auto body business.
Right.
We had a lot of cars. So we had a car, we raffled it off, we got the permit, and did all that, and we started building. And we could finally, took us a few years to get it built. We started with that, and we're still in it. We have like 30 dogs in that building with us, so we're we're the caretakers.
Yeah.
And you know, little by little, people started becoming aware of us.
Yes.
You know, especially our location, like we're way off the beaten path. Like you're not driving by and seeing us. That's
Correct.
just not happening.
Yeah,
You
correct.
know, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
And people be like, why are you out here? I said, well, because where else are we going to do what we do?
Right.
Like this is the last place in Palm Beach County we can be.
And noise and like all, you know,
Exactly.
everything that you can imagine comes with a bunch of animals,
Exactly.
like in and out.
Right. So
But it's not just dogs.
no.
Which gets to the sanctuary and the animal
Right,
part.
right.
You guys rescue all kinds.
Yes. So you wouldn't believe how many farm animals end up
Yes.
at the county. So it's either people that are out like where we are and they have animals and they have to move and they can't bring them with them, or they just show up again like stray, right? Stray pigs and stray
Donkeys
goats and
knocking on your door.
Exactly. So they end up at the county. So we started taking those. Or like people in the city, they'll get a little chick, and then they're like, neighbors are like, hey, wait a minute,
then
I
the
hear
chick
your
grows
rooster
up.
crowing at 4 a.m, and
Correct.
you're out of here.
Correct.
You know, so we take those, and so yeah, so then we ended up with some horses. We've got some pigs. One we got, she was like this big. She was so cute. She was at the county. Now she weighs like 900 pounds. Right?
Little baby
Charlotte.
piglet.
Yeah, she still likes belly rubs.
Oh
though.
my
She's very
goodness.
sweet.
I think that's adorable.
Yeah, and then someone had passed away, and we ended up with 2 horses.
Yeah.
We recently got a third. Somebody just tied it up to like a dog vet's fence and left them emaciated
These are the
horse.
stories, like because I follow your guys' page, and like just some of the things, it's really heartbreaking to see.
It really is.
You know, especially knowing like there's a good place to just come and do it the right way and just, you know, surrender the animal the right way. Don't leave them in a cage in your parking lot in the sun in Florida. So thank you for what you guys do.
Thank you.
I know a lot of times when I have our nonprofit friends on here, it starts out, it is a learning process in the beginning. And a lot of nonprofits don't start out thinking they're going to be a nonprofit. So you have to learn as you go. And it's always interesting to me to hear the stories of how you guys get started, because it's like, you stand up, you fall down. You stand up, you fall down, and you learn so much. But
exactly,
it's a great thing, I think, too, because when you're in that community with other nonprofits, they look at you and they say, "Oh my gosh, like, how did you get through that? How did you do this? How did you do that?" We could probably do a whole nother like 3-hour podcast on just the do's and don'ts. I'm sure of when you first of how to make it work. So really, really cool. So tell me about this, what you guys have going on there today, because I know that I follow. If you guys need to follow them online, we'll put all your handles up at the end.
Thank you.
But you guys are very active. You post a lot of stories, so it's easy to fall in love and follow along with the stories that you have going on there now. But explain to me a little bit about the services that you guys have there, what you do. I know you work lockstep with Palm Beach County Animal Control,
correct,
which is awesome. I've done a lot of events with them, like a Clear the Shelter thing with the Wellington Chamber, and it is unbelievable. How many dogs there truly are, and just how many animals. So it's heartbreaking, but I'm glad that there are at least places like yours that, you know, are stepping up and trying to help out and do the right thing.
Trying to make a difference.
Trying to make a difference,
you know?
and you do, absolutely.
There's definitely more homeless pets than there are homes for them.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago now, almost, we started a vet clinic because there's not we're not gonna be able to adopt our way out of the problem. We're not gonna be able to rescue our way out of the problem or raise awareness. We have to approach it systemically. So it's like, well, we need spay neuter.
Yes.
Spay neuter is critical.
Huge.
Right? So the only way we're going to reduce population, because two cats, for instance, in 5 years can make like 400,000 cats. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, the numbers are like
right?
astronomical.
There would never be enough homes. So, and these animals are suffering on the street. So I said, well, we're going to figure out a way. And through the generosity of the community, Peggy Adams had given us this bus like a year before, and we used it twice. We have a annual 5K, which is coming up in February.
Yes.
So please sign up for that.
Follow along online,
Yes,
and that's a huge event for you guys.
Yes, that's our biggest event of the year. It's a lot of fun. So that I love that event, and we'll get into that more later. But
for sure.
So we had this bus, and I was like, as much as I'd like to open a clinic, it's like, how are we going to make that happen? It's hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I said, but we have this bus, and it's already stocked with the kennels in there because they were using it for transport.
Okay.
And it's so big, like we can't just drive it around. Like this thing is like 50 feet long, and it's
That's a
crazy
whole nother
stupid money to operate it. So I said, why don't we just start it with the bus? So we did. And through, again, the generosity of the community, we were able to get some equipment and purchase, what we needed to get it going. And we started out, it was a little slow at the beginning, but it also helped us because now it reduced my cost of vet services.
Right.
It was a fraction of what I was actually spending. So it afforded us the ability to do even more and take more medical cases from the county.
Awesome.
Because I wasn't having to spend as much
Yeah,
money.
that's huge.
So it made a big difference. So then I started working on grants. And then we got our first grant through an amazing foundation. I happened to meet a gentleman at one of the Wellington Chamber luncheons.
Okay.
And he's like, so how do you support yourselves? And I was like, well, we work really hard. like we beg and whatever
Day to
whatever
day.
we gotta do, right? We fix cars or whatever, make it support it. So he says, well, you should check out this foundation, whatever. So I said, oh, can't hurt. And I applied for this grant, and we got it.
Good
I
for
was
you.
amazed. So we were able to offer free spay and neuters on pit bulls and chihuahuas, because if you go to the county shelter, that's pretty much what you're going to see.
Which,
like mostly pit bulls, and then the rest is chihuahuas.
which that's the one statistic that I was like, really? Like
Yeah.
you go from pit bull, chihuahua, like nothing in between.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So,
but
so we started that, and then I had spoken to the county, and they said, we'd really like to do a TNVR program for the Western communities, because it's really hard for people all the way out west to get to us or Peggy Adams, who was doing the TNVR. It's really difficult, time constrained, people work. So we're trying to get more people
correct. The easier you make it, the more compliant people will be. So
Exactly.
I get it.
So we entered into the contract to do the TNVR, and it started out slow, people, until they figure out and who you are and where you are and what's going on. And thankfully, with social media, we were able to spread that word, and it grew, and little by little it grew and grew. And then this year we talked about the problem at animal control. The county is short-staffed.
Yes.
Veterinarians, techs, all of that, and it's very difficult right now. There is a veterinarian shortage. So they were having trouble bringing in vets, and they said, well, what about if you take care of the rescues? Like the rescues stopped pulling because they couldn't get the spay and neuter done by the county.
Right.
So especially for the cats, right? So the cat rescues pull the cat, and the county would do the alter for free. But if they can't, that means the cat rescue has to go and spend hundreds of dollars, and they're not getting that back. Where are they getting their funding? So now it's stressing them out, trying to figure out how they're going to get funding, right?
Yeah.
So the county said, well, any rescue that pulls a cat or a dog, if we can't get to it, they can come to you, and it's just like they were coming here.
Awesome.
Which is amazing.
Yeah,
right?
that's great.
Now we've got more animals being pulled by other rescues. It helps them. It helps the county.
Right.
And then this past year, when we redid the contract, we added at-risk dogs, because the county's free spay and neuter program was sinking again because of the shortage.
Right, and nobody to do them.
Right. So now when people call up and say, "Hey, I have this pit bull, I'd like to get it neutered," like, "Yeah, great, let's do it."
Yeah.
But we don't have any. But call Barky Pines; they'll handle it.
Right.
So that's
Perfect,
what we're doing,
which is great.
So it doesn't quite cover, like the contract doesn't quite cover the expense. So that we're out there begging and pleading, to make up that difference, right?
Yes.
And our community is just amazing.
Yeah.
I can't say enough about the generosity of the community, and we get a lot of, like, the feral cats, even if they've already been TNVR, but then now they're on the street and they're suffering and they're sick or they're injured or whatever, and we have some amazing trappers out there, and they bring them to us, and then the county's not going to cover that, but
Right.
we'll do a fundraiser, they'll do a fundraiser, and somehow it all balances out,
Yeah.
and we make it work.
I'm telling you,
And
like,
the animals are helped, and
I
that's
see all the
bottom
stories
line.
online, and I mean, there's nothing better than you can do for that animal than to put them online and say, this is my story. Like,
Right.
let's help this guy out.
Right.
So, I think that's great.
Thank you.
And you guys are doing some like educational programs too. Are you going are you doing that with the schools?
I
or?
do. We go to the schools,
Okay.
pretty much all around Palm Beach
Yeah.
County, all the way from like kindergarten up to middle school, sometimes high schools.
Right.
And we just try to, educate the kids and animal husbandry, humane care. Animals are, even though they're considered, unfortunately, property in the state,
Right.
they're more than just that.
Absolutely.
Right? They're your family. Yeah. So, you take care of them. You don't abandon them.
Yes.
They're you to make that commitment for their lifetime.
Absolutely.
And yes, obviously, things happen in people's lives, and sometimes it's just not possible. So we try to explain, though, to the children that it's so important, it's so critical, for them to learn at a young age. A lot of it is cultural. If their family isn't, pet friendly, let's just say,
Correct.
right? And they don't understand, but the child is, but the family may not be on board.
Yes.
But to teach that generation to break the cycle, I think that's critical. So I spend a lot of time doing that with the kids, and it's a lot of fun, and the majority of them are so receptive.
Oh my
They're
gosh.
just amazing.
I can't even imagine
Yeah.
like little kids that don't just like fall in love with anything animal related.
And I always bring like a special dog with me.
Yeah.
We have Harley. He's kind of like our mascot.
Aw.
He was surrendered to us. He has a deformity where all his legs are kind of twisted around, so he kind of wiggle worms around.
He's
it's
like
really cute.
he's like the perfect mascot, though.
He really is. So he got surrendered at 10 years old to us.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so they had him since a puppy, and they're like, "Oh, I just can't deal with it anymore." And I'm like,
It's
and
been
then
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years.
See, I don't understand that.
Right.
That makes me so sad.
It makes me sad too. And then people say, "Oh, you're going to adopt him out?" And I thought, you know what? In his case, no, because if you think about the family that had him for 10 years and they didn't want to,
Correct.
take
What's
care
the
of
likelihood
him,
of?
somebody new, right?
Right.
So I said, you know what? He could just stay with us.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. A friend of ours, along with one of our supporters, got this remote control car, and our friend.
Does Harley drive around?
Yes, our friend
That's
got
amazing.
retrofitted it, and it's got this really cool harness, and he goes in it, and he absolutely loves it. So because he wants to play with the other dogs, so they're all running around, and he's just sitting there barking like, "Come over here, so I can bite you."
Yeah. Come to me.
Right,
I'm not coming to
right,
you.
Exactly. So he runs around the yard, and they all chase him, and they try to bite the tires and stuff, and he's like, "Ha, ha, ha."
Living his best life.
Exactly. And we take him. It's funny. We take him to WEF for Saturday Night Lights.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'll have to look for you guys there.
And he comes, and he's like the lead of our little parade.
I'm sure
They're
he
the most-
is a star.
It's
He probably gets so
adorable.
much attention there.
It is. He's just amazing. He's a great little guy.
That's
So
awesome.
We have a lot of dogs like that. We rescue a lot of senior dogs
Yeah.
too. Not we don't usually get the cute fluffy ones because those are the ones that
They go
really
right
don't need us.
Absolutely.
So we take on the ones that really need us a lot. I mean, we've had some dogs, excuse me, 5 years or so.
Wow.
So they're a lifetime.
Yeah.
A lot of the dogs, like I was saying, with the clinic now, we can take more medically needy dogs, dogs with broken legs,
Right.
more heartworm positive dogs. dogs with other issues. We have a building full of dogs like with behavioral issues that aren't adoptable. They meet somebody, they just want to bite them.
Correct.
But right, every now and then they bite us. Well, we deal with it.
Right.
We deal with it, but most people
they wouldn't.
Won't. Right.
Yeah. They wouldn't even have a chance.
Right, exactly. So
else.
as opposed to, and them ending up back in the system, might as well just keep them in our system and take care of them and
let them live out their days as best they can.
Exactly.
And I think that's great.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit too about what I wanted to talk to you also about is I feel like, do you see a trend in the last few years? Because I see online just, people, the humans in the community are struggling, economically. So I'm sure that is a huge uptick to you. I know that's, huge. A big thing. And that's, what do we do about that? I mean, that's so tough.
Yeah. The economy has just really hurt the animals. And so I'll start getting calls at like 7 o'clock in the morning. My phone rings all day long for people needing to surrender. They can't afford where they're living. They got to move in with somebody. They can't bring their dog.
Correct.
We never used to get, we'd get calls.
Sure.
Not consistently all day. And cats, like we would never get calls for people to surrender cat. Maybe if somebody passed away and their family's out of state, hey, my so-and-so had this cat.
Once in a while.
But now it's the same thing all day.
That's heartbreaking.
So until we see the economy improve, the housing crisis, people just, are being priced out of their homes, insurance.
Everything. I see a lot of posts online too about it's actually, it breaks my heart because people love their animals so much. Like I see posts online where people are asking for food, not for themselves,
for their animals.
Just so many stories, and it's just it makes me like the internet is a great thing. And it's also like some days I'm just like I have to get off here because it's just
I know
you get
same here and it's really hard.
Yeah,
it's hard to say no.
Yes,
it's hard.
I could not even imagine being in your position.
And I never used to have to, but now I find myself all day long. It's like, but how many can we house? How many can we care for?
Right.
And somebody will say, "Oh, I'll give you a donation." I said, "Well, that doesn't buy me minutes."
Right.
I need or housing,
manpower,
space.
and time, space.
So, right, and we have to know our limits because then we're not doing a service, we're doing a disservice to the animal.
Correct.
If we can't spend the time with them. I don't want to just collect them and put them in a building and that's it.
Yeah.
I want to be able to interact with them and love on them and give them, everything that the reason why we rescued them in the first place.
That they deserve.
So I think until we see an improvement in the economy, this trend is going to continue. And, in 2019, and I'm going to go back a little bit. So when we started pulling and, it's like, oh, Barky Pines pulled this many dogs and this 3 people are doing this amazing work.
Which is, let me just pause right there because I just want everyone to understand, you guys have no idea. It's literally 3 people that run this whole show. It's amazing.
Oh, we have Kate now. So
how many people or how many dogs have you over the lifetime taken in?
A couple of thousand.
Yeah, like a couple thousand.
3,000.
I saw your website and I'm like, no way, this number is even up to date.
Yeah, no,
it's way more now.
My website is not up to date.
No,
that's my fault.
But your numbers alone on the website were like thousands of dogs, and I'm like, no, I'm sure this
hundreds
is
of farm animals.
Yes, which is crazy. Yeah. Okay, anyway, I didn't want to interrupt you, but
it's okay.
I want people to understand like the real work that is being done because it's a lot.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to 2014 when we started this, and like I said, it was about 5,000 dogs that were getting put down. So we started doing all this, and we started getting little props, or pats on the back, we'll say, right? Like, oh, Barky Pines, these 3 people are doing all this stuff. It's crazy, right? And they have like nothing, and they have this big giant land with nothing on it, right? How are they doing this? But it kind of created like this friendly competition amongst rescues. Like, hey, I want that recognition.
Yeah.
And I was like, go for it. And the numbers, you started seeing pull numbers increasing.
That's great.
And at the end of 2019, our county municipal shelter reached no-kill status.
Really?
I mean, and that was like like it brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
Like that was the whole reason.
The whole
why
reason.
we did and why we struggle and why we sacrificed everything for us, for the animals, right?
And you know what, Elizabeth, I think a lot of people don't understand the dynamic there. They think that you're just an animal sanctuary that people just come to and leave their dog. So I want everyone to understand that you guys are taking animals from the shelter so that they don't get put on a kill list and euthanized. Right. That's the whole point of what you guys do, what you do. So just understand that, because it's really pretty a cool thing that a lot of people don't understand.
Right.
They think that you're just taking in dogs that people don't want. You guys are much more than that, and you're working so close. So to come to that status, that's like,
it was amazing.
It was amazing.
Awesome. Like it still gives me like goosebumps,
yes,
right?
It's great.
But unfortunately, back to the economy. Yeah. Now we're right back to where we were.
Yeah. Because then COVID, so that was 2019, right?
Yeah, and then COVID hit,
right?
And everybody was getting dogs, and I was really hesitant, you know. And said, and people would call me up, oh, you know, I'm bored, I want a dog. I'm like, that's not why you get a dog.
Yeah.
If you were gonna already planning on getting a dog, great, come meet my dogs. If you're just doing it because you're home, and no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to adopt you because that's not the reason. So that was like the start of the downfall.
Right.
And then everybody went back to work, and it's like, oh, my dog is acting up and I can't take it anymore, and I don't have time. I don't have time for him, and I don't have time to send him to training, and I don't have time to work with him. So here you go.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right. Well, so now we're right back to where we were pre-19 in numbers wise. And it kills me. You know, the emails come all day long from the county. This dog is urgent. That dog is urgent. We have till 4 o'clock today. We have till 4 o'clock tomorrow. And it breaks my heart.
Absolutely.
It really does. So, you know, and the rescues are struggling. You know, you think about, you know, it rolls downhill, as they say, right?
Yes.
So if the people are struggling, then the people can't support the way they used to, to the rescues. And there's a lot of foster-based rescues. There's not a lot of fosters anymore because those people are going through hard times. And even though the rescues cover everything, it's still, you know, they're working 2 jobs just to try to make ends meet. Right. They don't have time for the dogs. So,
and unfortunately, it's, you know, you can follow the trends, right? So whatever's happening to a human, the human side of life,
the animal's going to suffer.
They're the ones who suffer, which is unfortunate. And I'm glad to have you actually on the show at this point in time during the year, because this is the point in time where everybody goes into the holidays saying, yay, let's get a puppy. And then, you know, all the things that come with a puppy that they're not prepared for.
Exactly.
You know, chewing and destroying and training and, you know, potty training, all that fun stuff.
Right.
And, you know, that's the thing that always, like, makes me mad when I see people that get dogs, like you said, for the wrong reason.
Right.
So
as a gift, never get a dog. A dog is not a gift.
No.
Right. So,
They are a responsibility.
Yes.
A big
for
one.
A long time commitment. So, and then, you know, in January, you'll see, oh, you know, I got to get rid of this dog.
I know.
I didn't know what to expect. It's too much work. And then, you know, a lot of them end up back at the shelter. I actually stop adoptions, like early December.
Good for you.
I don't adopt anything out
So
at
smart.
Christmas unless I know the people.
Oh, yeah.
You know, or I've been working with them trying to find them a dog, you know, previously, like, I need this hypoallergenic, you know, unicorn dog that is so perfect. And,
like,
which I never get those, by the way. Never.
No.
So if you come to me, you're going to get a dog with issues. So just say it, right?
Just know that up
just
front.
Say it. I very rarely get a perfect dog.
Some people like a challenge.
Okay. Right,
Yeah,
exactly. I
that's
love a
good thing.
challenge. I love a challenge.
Yeah.
So unless I know you and I've been working with you, I am not. I'm not going to do it because it's not worth it. If you want that pet, you'll wait.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give them a stuffed animal. Say, here, this is coming to you.
Correct.
Then
we're going to prepare for it and make sure that everything is
But you know what?
great.
What hurts me even more is the people that surrender their old dogs to get a puppy.
Oh.
And I got this puppy, and it's not getting along with my dog, so take my senior dog. Oh. And that just, it's like,
I just don't get that.
It just hurts my heart.
Yeah.
It really does.
That is terrible.
You know, we rescue a lot of senior dogs, so they're near and dear to me. You know, this is their end. They had their people their whole life, and then at the very end,
and they don't understand.
Toss them away, right?
They don't understand what happened to their people.
So they get some extra love.
Good.
Yeah.
I can tell that about you, which makes me so happy. Let's talk a little bit too. So talking about like expansion, and you mentioned to me that you guys have a new building that you're opening up.
Yes. So again,
Tell me about this.
thanks to two amazing foundations. We've been trying to do it for a couple of years, and we had half the funding, and they're like, "Well, find the rest of the funding, and we'll help you." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, where's it?"
Oh, okay.
No, it's not.
Let me
No, I
look.
can't find it. And then one day, this amazing woman calls me up, and she says, work with these guys, and they wanted to start a senior animal rescue, but they hired me to get it going. And in my research, I found you, and you're already doing it. And she said, I told them, why reinvent the wheel? Let's help them.
Smart.
And let them grow and let them do the work, and we'll just help.
Awesome.
So she came out, and we gave her a little tour. My husband loves to give the tours, so he's great.
Good.
And so she gets the tour, and she says, well, we said, we're trying to get this building. Then she goes, well, what do you need right now? And I say, I need another pair of hands. And she said, yes, you do. And we were fortunate enough to get a grant to hire someone.
That's
And,
awesome.
Yeah, and so that's how we have Kate. So she's awesome.
Perfect.
So Kate's an animal lover, and she's just amazing. We had actually known her for years.
Okay.
Prior to that,
Awesome.
we adopted to her and her dad about 10 years before when we first started. So she would come around, her daughter and stuff, and visit here and there.
Right.
And then I heard she was looking for work, and I was like, hey, Kate, why don't you come on down to
Perfect.
Barky Pines? So Kate started with us. It's just over a year now.
Okay.
And then, so after that, the gentlemen that run the foundation, that own it, or however ownership that works, founders, they came to visit. Super nice guys. And they're like, hey, so you guys want to put up a building? How much more money do you need? And now remember, inflation is happening while this is going on.
Of course.
And I had a couple of crazy, estimates, and I was like, it's not happening, right? I mean, it's not even what I paid for the whole property, right?
Right.
So just put up this little tiny building. So anyway, we spoke, and they said, all right, we'll cover the balance of it. And I was like, wow, amazing.
Such a gift.
It's like, I called the builder, and I'm like, hey, Ken, get over here right
Yeah.
now.
Hurry.
I got to check. Hurry. Let's get this rolling. So, we drew up some quick plans and got it started. And, the permitting process was like an absolute nightmare.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And what's going in that building?
So that will be the adoption center, because right now we do our adoptions out of one of the senior buildings, so it's kind of hard. We got to move dogs
Right.
around, and
You want it dedicated.
right. And the senior dogs
Spot.
aren't the neatest dogs in the world, right? They got old bladders, just
They're
like
like,
me, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, somebody's coming, make sure the dogs
I
don't
know.
go to the bathroom all over the place.
It's like having a showing, like when you have like an open house for a
Yes.
showing. You're like, is everything clean?
Right,
in its spot?
exactly, right.
That's
so,
funny.
So the adoption center will be in there. The clinic will be in there. Thank God, out of the
Awesome.
bus.
Out of the bus.
Finally. You should see us putting in like 20 or 30 giant cat traps into the bus, and then
Oh my
and then it's
gosh.
like playing Tetris all day.
Right,
Like,
trying
the
to, like,
staff in
maneuver
there is,
around
like
and
right. It's
crazy.
absolutely crazy. So that'll go in there, and then some senior dogs.
Awesome.
There'll be housing for
That's
that.
very
So,
exciting.
yeah. So
I mean, truly, in just a very short amount of time. I mean,
in reality, yeah.
I'm sure it doesn't feel
It's a-
super
no,
short.
it's-
to you.
it's like a lifetime.
It's like a lifetime.
Yes. yes.
But it's really
But-
amazing what you guys have done.
Thank
so,
you.
I want to. Is there anything before we go that you really want to touch on? But I do want you to talk about your events and where people can come out and support you. But is there anything you want to really drive home that you want the listeners to hear about Barky Pines?
So hold on, stop.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is so much. Like, where
so
do I
much.
go with that? What I want the listeners to know: keep your dogs. No.
Yeah.
Don't abandon your animals.
Wait, don't abandon your animals. Be nice to your animals.
Yeah.
Don't give them up because they're old.
Right.
That's so crappy.
Yeah,
I hate
know.
that.
All right.
It doesn't have to be.
There's so much.
There's so
I don't
much.
even know what
That's
to
what I'm
say.
saying. We could like have like 8 more episodes
I
on
know.
just going through Barky Pines. Okay, so we talked about the building. Let's talk about just the event. How much time do we have left, Karina? 15 minutes. Okay, so
Okay.
15 minutes. What else do we want to talk about? Talked about your mission.
Yep.
Education.
Yep.
Why you're different. Yeah, I think that's really cool though about how you guys work with Palm Beach County because I
Yeah.
don't understand that.
Right. a lot, people go all over the place to get dogs,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
Every dog deserves a home. Every dog deserves help. But my logic is, think globally, but act locally. We're being so small, especially.
Yeah.
We can only do so much. If I can make a huge impact in our community,
Yes.
I think that's where my effort should lie. And it's so rewarding. And, like I said, in 2019, when we got to that no-kill status for the county, it was like amazing.
Yeah.
So I'd really like to see more people, just dedicate themselves to thinking and acting a little bit more locally. I would
So
love
on
to
that
see
note, Elizabeth, what volunteers do you guys need? If people want to help out, what can they do at Barky Pines?
They can come and walk some of my friendly dogs.
Yep.
We got a lot of farm animals. We've
Yep.
got
Feeding.
horses and We've got horses, pigs,
Yep.
chickens, ducks.
It's like a full farm that
goats.
you're running.
Yeah.
Truly.
So any help,
Which is my
with
dream.
that? It's
Like, I need
it's
a
a lot of work. Trust me, it's like
a lot.
sunrise,
Yeah.
past sunset.
That alone, I mean, aside from, all of the household animals,
Right.
that alone to me is like, how you guys do it all, I have no idea. But
the community, it's critical.
Yeah.
We offer community service hours for
Okay.
the older kids.
Yes.
We get a lot of the younger kids that need hours too. Like the schools are crazy what they
Like
want
middle
these kids
school? Yeah,
to do.
I know,
I don't know where
know.
they're going to find the time. So the really little kids, what we have them do is create their own flyer. They have to make it. I don't care if they do it in crayons.
Okay.
They've got to make the flyer, and then mom and dad can't go buy the stuff. They have to actually go. I don't care if it's family, neighbors, friends, whatever, and collect items off of our wish list for the animals.
Aw.
We always need like towels. I can't tell you how many towels we go through a day in the clinic, like 30
Okay,
towels a
that's
day.
awesome to know because I know,
Towels.
at least in my neighborhood, we have a ton of families and kids. Where they're always looking for is for the younger kids to be able to help out and do something. Because the
Right.
middle, high school, there's always opportunities because A, they're older and liability.
Yes, exactly.
That. And then B, they get the hours and they want the hours.
Right.
But like I have 9-year-olds, and they're always like, what can
Right.
we do? My
Right.
daughter wants to make blankets for animals
Perfect.
and things like that. So
exactly. Stuff
tell me
like
more
that.
about that. So they go on, they get
They-
the wish list items.
Yep, and then they have to create the flyer. Like I
Okay.
said, if they're computer savvy, which most kids are,
Yes,
more
they
than
are.
me
Me
now,
too.
right?
Me too.
It's like ask a kid if you want to. But they make the flyer, and then they go to their relatives or neighbors or whatever and say, hey, this, working for the animal rescue, they need this, this, and this. And then they collect the stuff, and then they've got to bring it to me with the flyer.
Oh my gosh,
And I can
I
usually
love
tell,
this.
and I tell the parents, please, I don't want you to just go buy it. You're not buying their hours because it gives the kids a sense of responsibility.
Absolutely.
Number one, just to do the project themselves, but then helping the animals.
Yeah.
Right. So that to me is like the important part.
And I think
So-
delivering it to you personally,
Yes.
they get to go and see,
and then
where it's going.
Right, and then they take a little tour. My husband will take them on a little
That's
tour
so
and say,
cool.
this you're helping this animal, you're helping that animal. We do a lot with the scouts.
Yes.
Amazing. So like when they finish that level of scout and they're becoming an Eagle Scout and they have to do this project.
Right.
So we've had most recently. They built benches. So
Oh my
like when we do
gosh.
the meet and greets, if we're doing it outside, they put these beautiful benches with cushions and an umbrella. We've had them do chicken coops they made for us, raised bed planters, because like
So
the animals,
awesome.
we try to grow some food for the animals to eat. Just kind of helps
Right.
out a little bit. More like a treat than something stable. But so this one boy made raised bed planters, so the animals can't get in there
That's
and
so
eat
cool.
it, right? Yeah, and then PVC feeders and for the coops and
Really
everything.
cool.
So yeah, so there's a lot of ways that the kids can help.
I love that.
Yeah, and I enjoy that too. And I enjoy, like I said before, giving the kids that experience.
Yes. Giving them the education
Yeah.
and just learning, also learning about all the work it takes behind the scenes
Right.
when things happen and maybe the right things are not done and now you have all these animals to care for that
Exactly.
would otherwise have no place to
Right.
go. So that's all volunteer stuff and everyone can go to your website and find, like if we wanted to do like a volunteer
just
project
call
with
me.
you?
It's so much easier. Just
Okay.
call me 561-402-1451. Like it's always on.
Oh boy.
I did start turning it off at like 10 o'clock because again,
Do not
the
disturb.
surrender calls just like don't stop.
Yeah.
Like it starts at 7
I'm
o'clock in
sure.
the morning, you know,
I'm
and then
sure.
it doesn't end. So
Yeah.
I did actually start finally turning the phone off. But,
Okay.
call me. Just call
Awesome.
me. Leave a message if I don't answer. If I'm
I love that.
knee deep in God only knows what.
Farm animal stuff.
Stuff, man.
And then I want to end on a good note, which is your events. And this
Yes.
is your 5K.
Yes,
that I've
it's our
been-
5th annual. So our
So cool.
Our 5K started like by accident, right? So a friend of mine runs Meals on Wheels, Palm
Okay.
Beach County. She's amazing, and she shared this post, and she's like, "Oh, Leadership Palm Beach County is looking for projects." So she sends me a message. She's like, "You should do this." So I'm like, "All right." So I went down. They had like this, I don't know, seminar kind of thing, and like this is some projects we did, and we've got this class of these amazing people, and they're
Okay.
gonna pick a project. And I'm listening, and I'm like, you know what? There's nothing. I couldn't think of anything. Like,
Right.
what could they do for me? Like we're still kind of young in the game,
Sure.
considering, and I'm like, I need funds, but they can't raise funds.
Right.
It's not what they have to do. They have to do a project. I'm like, this really isn't for me. So after the course or whatever, they give you a mentor to your table. And I was like, I really don't think there's anything you guys can do to help me. She goes, well, what's your biggest problem? I said, well, nobody knows who we are. Nobody knows where we are. We're in the middle of nowhere. Nobody's
Right.
just driving by and saying, oh, look, an animal rescue. Let's stop. I said, she goes, so you need to raise awareness. I said, yeah. She goes, well, what about a 5K? I was like, I don't run.
No
Like,
events. I don't run.
I'll run if I have to chase a dog. And then I'm like dying, like panting
Yeah.
as hard as they are. I'm like, no, I'm not a runner. She goes, you don't need to be a runner. And the class will help you. I was like, all right. So she's like, okay, we got to do a PowerPoint. I was like,
You're like, again. No.
not me, right? So fortunately, we have an adopter that works for Microsoft, and I reached out to her. I was like, look, I need to do this PowerPoint.
So
I'm like,
awesome.
don't even know where to start. She's like, come over, I'll help you. So she creates this whole beautiful PowerPoint
Right.
for me, and I'm like, oh, you're amazing. Thank you, Julia.
Yeah.
So I have to go, and I have 3 minutes, right? And I was like, all right, I'm writing this speech, and I'm timing it, and I'm like, all right, that's 10 minutes, that's 5 minutes. How do I reduce?
Ugh.
Like, I have so much to say, right? How do I
Same.
get it all in 3 minutes?
Me too. Timing is
Right. Oh, terrible.
Don't cut me off.
Right. So now I get there, and I'm like a nervous wreck, and I'm like, all these people are in this classroom, and I get this clicker I never used before, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then, of course I'm talking, and I'm like going totally off script, like I'm sitting here talking
Yeah.
to you, right? And they're looking at me like, hello,
Yeah.
like you're out of time.
We're
And I'm
gonna
like,
start the music.
Yeah, exactly. Like, get out of here. Not your turn. So I go through the whole thing, and I'm like, oh, they're never gonna. I just blew it. They're never gonna pick it. And then I get a call, and like, hey, we picked your project, and I'm like, oh my god, right? So I get these amazing, amazing group of people, leaders in our community
I
from
love this.
like every walk of industry, right? And they're like, hey, we're gonna make this happen. And I'm like, okay, where do we start? And they're like, we got
it.
this. We
Oh,
got
that's
this.
so great.
So yeah,
See the whole team that
it was a whole team. The first, it was amazing. Like it was, and mind you, this is like as we're getting ready, because the first race was in 2020.
Of course.
So
Of course.
so right. So
but it's
here
an
we
outdoor
are,
activity,
right.
and we can stay 6 feet
Right.
apart. It'll be fine.
But they're like, oh, guess what? We can't get the medals because the shipping is, done.
everything was
and everything
halted.
is, right.
Yes.
So we're like, okay, well, we'll make it happen somehow. And we did. And then we ran out of medals, and I was like, all right, I got to cut off registration. And people are messaging me like, I don't care about the medal. Open it back up.
Yeah,
like,
I
I
just
just
wanna
want to
do it.
support you,
That's
So we had
awesome.
like 300 and almost 350
That's
runners the first
crazy.
year. And it wasn't even timed. Like, it was just amazing
Yeah.
and so fun. The community really came out and stepped up. And it's not something like, we don't really make any money doing it. Like,
Yeah.
we cover the expenses with sponsors, which we're looking for sponsors
Yes.
for this one, by the way.
Help out Barky Pines.
So yeah,
When is the
how to
race?
plug that. It is
February?
February 10th.
Okay,
this
February
year.
10th.
Yep.
Okay.
We keep it a stop. We keep it a Valentine's Day theme.
Oh,
so we try
cute.
to get it that Saturday
That's
close to
right.
Valentine's because puppy love.
Yes, and
So, of
people.
course-
I remember like tutus and
Yeah,
people had like
people
hearts
dressed
and,
up.
Yes,
and, yeah,
I
and
remember
then,
all this. It's
of
coming
course,
back
you
to
can
me.
walk around with your dog, which is
Yeah.
amazing.
I wouldn't
And-
bring any of my dogs.
Yeah.
They're very misbehaved.
You'd be surprised how good they are at the race. They really are. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. And it's a very early start in the morning, but it is just so much fun.
Do you guys do it around your property?
No.
In Loxahatchee? Where do you guys have it at?
So we started doing it at Royal Palm. And then when I became an elected official, we started doing it in our local park.
Okay.
So we do it at Acreage Community Park.
Got you.
And we had to like create this course, but we have this beautiful preserve area. So a lot of the course runs like
Along
not
that.
in it, but like adjacent
So
to
cool.
it. So it's shady and pretty.
That's
and
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And then we
have
have
to come out.
raffles and stuff like that. And we've got Brian is like our main guy for our like DJ.
Like MC?
MC.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
he runs it
Thank
all.
you. He does it. Yeah.
Perfect.
And when we've got a great DJ,
So
our buddy
fun.
Mike, he adopted from us, and he's like, anytime you need a DJ. So
That's so great.
He gets there at like 5:30 in the morning. He's like, but he
More
keeps,
coffee.
right. He keeps everybody going, and
That's
Brian
great.
really motivating and stuff. And then we have prizes for top in each age range
fun.
and stuff. Yeah. And then
I know you have a lot of
the dogs
families.
get bags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fun. How many people came out? I mean, I know you had like 300 runners the first
so
year.
on
It's
average, it hasn't, and I'm disappointed. So please register.
We're going to change that.
Yeah. So I think the economy, COVID, all
course.
of that, everything is suffering. So I think last year we were like almost 200.
Okay. That's still,
but it's still
it's a
amazing.
great showing.
Right.
Yeah,
Not
that's
complaining.
wonderful. And
we're so grateful. But
it
yeah.
gets your name out there.
Exactly. And that's
great.
the whole thing, to raise awareness. Hey, Barky Pines is here. This is what we do. If you like what we do, help support us if you can. And it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be dollars.
I know.
It could be sharing, telling
Time,
people,
talent. Yes.
Exactly. There's
This is
so
what I
many,
always say.
so many ways to support
Huge.
not just animal rescues, but all nonprofits.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, a dollar thing. Time, and nothing is more valuable than somebody's time. And
Yeah.
we really appreciate that very much.
Let's help Elizabeth out. If you have small kids, like I know I do, let's do like a good project this season and help out our animal friends that we love so much. Anything else you'd like to say?
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Thank
and
you.
Adopt, don't shop.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time on 501c TV. Thanks for joining us today. And a special thank you to Kana House Studios, Wellington's first and only social content creation studio. Thank you.